Yeah, I just seen the Breakfast Club. Jimmy popping all that. I be seeing you, Jimmy talking about we Gucci boo boo. He in the Gucci store. Talking about we Gucci boo boo. Them like King they was going you up. Jimmy, they was like, Marita Monero.
Jones, right? He ran with the same I ran with a decade before I met him. Jim Jones, the Dipset, the that was just over there dancing and on verses. Jim Jones was running with Shotty, Cafano Jordan, right? Mel Matrix, Jamel Jones, Roland Martin. He was running Fu Banger, Fuquan. I forgot his last name, Fuquan something. He was running with all of
The rumors that Jim Jones was an informant are not going away, according to 50 Cent, throwing dirt on Jones' name and claiming to have new receipts to back it up. He's back and stirring things up once more. You are aware that these rumors have been circulating about Jones for years if you have been reading the blogs and street talk. It all began when his name came up during the trial of Tekashi 6ix9ine following a wiretap leak. Although he was supposedly planning measures against 6ix9ine in on the tape, he never received any legal action. Despite the federal authorities' sudden attack on the 9 Trey Bloods, Jones managed to escape unharmed. People then began to ask the obvious: how could he be captured on camera, talking about important matters, and not be charged? The whole thing stoked suspicions that haven't been dispelled yet. And now that fresh drama is playing out online, more people than ever are asking questions. At the moment, Jim Jones and Cameron are engaged in a furious back and forth on social media, teasing one another. Although they have long-standing problems, this round feels more intimate than normal. And just when Jim believed things couldn't get much worse, 50 Cent entered the fray. 50, who has a reputation for being the ultimate instigator, says he has fresh evidence that implicates Jones as a long-standing federal informant. The true question then becomes, does 50 have proof, or is this just another instance of him stirring things up for show? What was Jim Jones' response to being publicly dragged? Let's examine this complicated story's most recent chapter.
But I see the pattern now. If you agree to disagree with you and don't want to take it that route, because
As anyone who has followed Dipset's history knows, Cameron and Jim Jones have long had a love-hate relationship. They move like brothers one moment, then act like foes the next. Decades have passed since their messy past began to play out, and it is now erupting once more. Naturally, it all stems from 50 Cent injecting his typical frantic energy. So, what caused this most recent drama to occur? It all began when Cam invited 50 to appear on his program. During their talk, Cam brought up a memory that has bothered him for years. In 2007, during the height of Dipset's feud with G-Unit, he reminded 50 that Jim Jones had unexpectedly appeared at one of 50's performances. Cam was never comfortable with the move, and 50 had a lot to say about it. Shortly after, Jim Jones went to Justin LeBoy's Respectfully podcast to explain what had happened and offer his own perspective. Declaring he wasn't going to let rap politics interfere with his luggage, he stood by his choice to perform with 50. Jimmy didn't stop there, though. He pushed Cam and 50 harder, accusing them of even mentioning his name. He even said that they both owed him a great deal of favors. Jim then went all out and claimed full responsibility for creating Dipset's whole look. He said that he was the one who came up with Cameron's renowned drip and even claimed credit for the recognizable pink fur coat that became his go-to outfit. Cam, however, was not going to tolerate that disrespect, as you now know. The way Cam confronted Jimmy on his and Maze's podcast demonstrated that this feud is far from done.
Right. He was your man, like on the side, just he was not a rapper at all.
Right.
So when Ballin' took place, and I'm looking and I'm going, oh, he having a moment. That's the Lloyd Banks. It's Lloyd Banks thing. He wanted that. He was watching them be that, like Mace be that, and Cam be that, and looked at, and it was finally he had one.
Mm-hmm.
And
Cam didn't simply retaliate. Instead, he attacked Jim's base, casting doubt on his whole Dipset history. Jimmy was scolded by him for pretending to be from Harlem. Jim wasn't a true day one from the block, according to Cam. And they weren't working side by side in the trenches, as Jones frequently claims. Jimmy claimed to have seen Maze's kid Cam after signing with Bad Boy. But Cam didn't believe him. Jim only changed his mind much later, after Cam had established his reputation. Cam quickly shut that down. Cam was already running with Maze, Big L, and his cousin Bloodshed as a member of the renowned Children of the Corn crew from Harlem by that point. Jim was made to feel even worse by Cam as he acknowledged that Maze was the one who taught him how to rap. Jimmy was just a tiny homie attempting to blend in with the real Harlem giants, according to Cam's spin. Jones takes great pride in his street reputation, so that kind of criticism is very hurtful to him. Jim, however, changed course rather than responding verbally. A formidable roster was assembled, and he hinted at a remix of his Harlem anthem, with Dave East Votto, Gucci Mane, and Joel Santana on board. Jimmy made it apparent that he was still proudly flying the Harlem flag, even though he didn't say it out loud. Everyone in the streets knew that Cam was the target.
Gonna go for it. But I was like, we like Jimmy better than you anyway, Cam. Then you gotta watch and see how he responds. And then when you see, he like, oh, like that. Hey, give me this. Get me Jimmy. Yeah, tell him we want him. We want you at the show, Jimmy.
However, just when it appeared like things would finally calm down, 50 Cent returned to agitate the situation. This time, he immediately returned to the informant stories about Jim Jones rather than focusing on the music. Adding fuel to the flames, 50 posted a photo of Jim on Instagram, among Jay-Z, Diddy, Fat Joe, and a few others. He captioned the photo, saying, "LOL, individual one, calling the shots out here. Please refrain from saying ish to me. I know you are working." It seemed obvious that the remark individual one was a reference to the long-standing rumor that Jones might have been working with the federal government. 50 continued beyond the caption to further emphasize his argument. The wiretapped call transcript, in which Jim Jones is purported to have stated that 6ix9ine was no longer regarded as a member of the gang and needed to be dealt with, was also made public by him. That recording surfaced during Tekashi's federal case and has been often cited whenever someone wonders how Jim was able to evade prosecution. 50 releasing that paper once more just served to bring those issues back into the public eye. For a little history, this all stems from the federal case that was filed in 2018 against Tekashi 6ix9ine and many members of the 9 Trey Gangster Bloods on allegations of guns and racketeering. According to the indictment, 9 Trey was one of the Bloods organization's most active and brutal subdivisions because of how deeply the case penetrated rap circles and the lengthy number of names that came up during testimony. It rocked the industry when it went
Right.
And I need to win. I gotta win in spirit.
So,
You heard? I didn't put all this work in for nothing. You dig? I didn't teach myself how to rap for nothing. I didn't jump all on this game to be famous for nothing. I need to capitalize and be just as famous as the most famous, most successful, rich person in this game also. I'm now in the game.
I still gotta know, like, how did that work? You performing, like,
They called me like, yo, you wanna come?
4 years. The federal authorities had been pursuing the 9 Trey Bloods, assembling a comprehensive case before it all fell apart. 6ix9ine promptly consented to cooperate after being detained in an attempt to shorten his jail sentence. He was on the witness stand by September 2019, giving unreserved testimony against his old 9 Trey colleagues. Throughout his testimony, he was frequently called by names such as Algermia Nukemac and Anthony Harv Ellison. He strengthened the case against a number of crew members by providing the government with detailed accounts of their operations. Jim Jones was linked to the case when FBI wiretap recordings that were played during the trial revealed his identity. Jones reportedly discussed 6ix9ine's fallout with the 9 Trey set during those calls. He was talking to a senior crew member who was already the subject of an inquiry. Jamel Melmorda Jones. Their conversation seemed so serious that it attracted attention right away. For a celebrity like Jim Jones, the recording had significant ramifications. When 6ix9ine publicly said he was no longer associated with 9 Trey, Jones and Melmorda appeared to be discussing how to deal with him on that tape. Jones is accused of saying that 6ix9ine must be violated, which many took to mean that physical vengeance was necessary. After those statements were made public in court, word swiftly got out in the industry and on the streets. Jim was closer to 9 Trey's leadership than many had thought, and the video was seen as concrete evidence of this. It also made others question what part he might have played in their ongoing disputes. In addition to confirming that Jim had direct ties to high-ranking 9 Trey members, the wiretap raised questions about why he was never indicted, despite the fact that his voice was purportedly recorded during a federal call discussing potential action against 6ix9ine. There were no legal repercussions. This was in stark contrast to the severity of the government's persecution of others. Jim was unaffected by the severe terms given to key players in the case. This accountability gap sparked persistent conjecture. Numerous people started to question whether Jim Jones was working with the police in secret to evade punishment. Fans and critics pointed out how odd it was for him to be on a wiretap and then leave without being charged, which helped the hypothesis gain more traction. It appeared to be a protective scenario to some. For others, it was just an inexplicable gap. In any case, there has always been some suspicion that he was an informant.
You heard? Dan the Cam's pink. You heard? He'll tell you.
No.
All right. Sooner or later, he gonna have to tell it. Where he got the pink from.
And push me under the bus and say, I ain't start this and I ain't do that. You started pink and you made the diplomats, which is just, if people choose to believe that, then look.
WAC 100, who outright accused Jones of being an FBI informant, was the loudest voice behind these rumors. According to WAC, Jim was already assisting law enforcement, which is the sole reason he was never arrested following that wiretap. In interviews with 6ix9ine in clubhouse rooms and podcasts, he aggressively challenged Jim Jones to demonstrate that he wasn't covertly collaborating with the federal government. Otherwise, the circumstance simply didn't make sense. According to WAC, his remarks continued the rumors and fueled the fire. Jim, for his part, vehemently refuted each and every one of these accusations, criticizing WAC as a liar and a mere clout chaser. The portion that still bothered folks, though, is this. Jim never gave a clear explanation for why he was not taken into custody after being discovered on those FBI wiretaps. Furthermore, no documentation has ever shown Jim Jones collaborating, testifying, or aiding law enforcement, even though there is no concrete proof that he is an informant. In spite of all of it, the rumors persisted because no charges were brought. 50 Cent set off a chain reaction in no time. "Why do you keep on lying, lol?" Jim responded right away to 50, labeling him a liar and even sharing a picture of himself relaxing by the pool. "I'm going back to sleep," Jim wrote, dismissing the entire situation as if it were nothing. Also, free Mel Matrix. It's inverted. Although supporters weren't quick to overlook it, he saw this as just another instance of trolling. And the questions were still as loud. Many remained skeptical despite Jim's persistent denials of those informant allegations. People began giving each other the side eye and posing the same urgent query whenever this conversation came up again. When everyone else was imprisoned in 9 Trey, how did Jim escape prosecution? Furthermore, it became evident that this drama would never end anytime soon due to 50 Cent's constant trolling and online presence. The more people brought up the subject, the more Jim brushed it aside. Suspicions continued to be publicly expressed by fans, and their comments demonstrated how polarized the discussion had grown. Jim Jones, a high-ranking gang member, telling his cousin, another high-ranking gang member, to basically order a hit on someone, and the one he told it to got arrested while he didn't. A fan had said, That guy said, "Nah, bro," to wrap up their thinking. Denmark has a bad smell. Many others shared their skepticism, so it wasn't just them. The comment, 669in told the world there were plenty of other snitches, but nobody wanted to listen, was made by another admirer. On social media, lines like that kept coming up, and people were quick to debate both sides. Some said that Jim was innocent and only caught up in online rumors, while others said that the hush around the wiretaps was too suspicious. In any case, with so many opinions, the discussion continued to grow. The streets are humming more than ever right now, and the questions are never going away. Was there more going on behind the scenes? Or was Jim simply lucky? Furthermore, the conflict between him and Cameron still exists. What do you think about all of this? Do you think Jim and Cam will ever mend their damaged relationship? Or do you think Dipset is over? How do you feel about 50 Cent bringing up those accusations of being an informant again? Let us know what you think in the comments section. Hit the like button and remember to subscribe so that we can send you the next crazy video.